Welcome to our discussion. Today we're diving into why. If Jesus kept the Sabbath, Christians today aren't.
That's a head-turner. So the key point is that while millions claim to follow the Ten Commandments, they're actually breaking the Fourth Commandment every single week, right?
Exactly. It's not by accident, it's by tradition. The commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, isn't optional. It's in stone, literally.
So, if Jesus never said to change that, how did we end up with Sunday worship instead of Saturday?
Well, to really dig into it, we've got to understand what the Sabbath means in its original context. In Hebrew thought, the day starts at sundown, not midnight. That's why the Sabbath extends from Friday
Right.
evening to Saturday evening.
Interesting. So it's not just a simple day shift. It's a fundamental difference in how time is understood in Scripture.
Yes, exactly. It's like, God's clock runs differently, starting with evening. And you can see that in Genesis where it says, and there was evening and there was morning. Each day essentially begins at sundown.
And that ties into, like Leviticus 23:32, where it instructs that celebration of the Sabbath is from evening to evening, making it clear that this isn't just a Jewish legalism, but rooted in creation itself.
Exactly. Jesus himself honored this true Sabbath. Luke 4:16 tells us that he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, as was his custom. There's no indication that he ever suggested, changing the day.
Right. But then comes the twist, doesn't it? The church ends up shifting to Sunday worship. How did that happen?
That's the wild part. After the temple was destroyed in 70 CE, Christians, trying to distance themselves from Jewish practices and survive in a Roman world, slowly started embracing Sunday, the so-called Lord's Day.
So you're saying it wasn't divine direction, but rather, let's say, political and social pressures.
Exactly right. The big turning point was Constantine in 321 CE, when he decreed that on the venerable day of the sun, everyone should rest. Note, he didn't say Sabbath here, he said Sunday, linking it to a pagan sun god, Sol Invictus.
That's a pretty dramatic shift. Instead of following what Jesus set as the pattern, the church aligned itself with Roman, cultural practices.
Precisely. And it wasn't just a change in practice. Later councils, like the Council of Laodicea around 364 CE, actually went an extra mile. They made it heresy to, observe the Sabbath properly. Canon 29 even stated that Christians must not Judaize by resting
Right.
on the Sabbath.
Wait a minute, are we saying that history, essentially, made keeping the God-ordained Sabbath illegal for Christians?
Yes, and that's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, despite the Bible never changing the commandment, the church deliberately rewrote the tradition, effectively breaking God's law.
I can see how that would be controversial. But don't some argue that the shift symbolized a new covenant, or, a break from the old ways?
That's one perspective, but it's a stretch. Jesus made it clear that he came to fulfill the law, not to abolish it. He was known as the Lord of the Sabbath, not the Lord of Sunday. So, if we respect the logic in the Scriptures, Jesus' practices and his words point us
True.
back to Saturday observance.
So, if we follow that line of thought, it really calls into question, like the legitimacy of the traditional Sunday worship in terms of scriptural backing.
Exactly. It suggests that what many Christians see as following the Ten Commandments might actually be, a deviation, overlooking the Fourth Commandment.
That's pretty bold. You're essentially saying that millions are unknowingly breaking a core part of God's law because of a tradition rooted in, political expediency?
Yes. And this isn't just an abstract argument. There have been, numerous reformers throughout history who tried to restore the Sabbath to its rightful place. People like the Waldenses in the 12th century, and later the Seventh-day Baptists
Right, I see that.
and Seventh-day Adventists.
Those groups, despite facing persecution, stayed true to the original commandment. That resilience speaks volumes about the importance of adhering strictly to Scripture, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's like they were saying, we'll follow what's written, not what tradition has warped. And in doing so, they challenged a centuries-old narrative that many accepted without question.
I'm curious. What do you think about the argument that the Church's choice to switch the day might have had some practical or social benefits at the time, even if it wasn't scripturally sound?
That's a fair point to consider. I mean, it could have been seen as a way to, unify the community under a common day of rest, especially in a politically charged environment. But here's the kicker. Just because something serves a social purpose doesn't give it divine backing.
Right. And if we're prioritizing political convenience over scriptural authority, it raises questions about where true loyalty should lie.
Exactly. When a ruling power like Constantine steps in, the result is a merging of, political branding with religious tradition. And that branding, if you ask me, isn't rooted in the intent of the commandments.
So, in that sense, the change to Sunday worship can be seen as more of a manufactured, cultural evolution rather than a faithful continuation of the original commandment.
Precisely. And if we push further, if the Church had such influence to alter even the day of worship, one might wonder, what other elements of the faith have been, reshaped by external forces?
That's a thought-provoking point. It's almost like asking, if they could change the calendar, what else did they change?
Exactly. And that's why some argue that the Church, by making these decisions, has, in a way, broken God's law without even realizing it.
Yep, I see your point. So, where do we stand today? Are there millions of believers caught in this tradition, or is there a growing movement to go back to Saturday?
Well, as we discussed, there's definitely a substantial following among those who, based on Scripture, insist that the true Sabbath is Saturday. Groups like the Seventh-day Adventists not only maintain this practice, but they also highlight its biblical roots and the original understanding of God's creation order.
It seems to really boil down to a clash between tradition and what's strictly written in the Bible, with tradition having taken some unexpected turns due to historical and political influences.
Exactly. It's a fascinating interplay of faith, history, and politics. The original mandate is clear, but over time, external factors, especially Roman decrees and church councils, reshaped how it was observed.
I appreciate this nuanced take. It offers a new perspective on what many might have simply taken for granted. Do you think these ideas might influence modern Christian practice?
I believe they might, especially as more people start questioning why tradition trumps Scripture in such crucial matters. It's like, peeling back layers of history to see what truly aligns with the intended commandments.
There's definitely a call for re-examination. And it's refreshing to see that through respectful dialogue, these contentious issues can be explored without being dismissive.
Absolutely. Our exploration shows that it's not about attacking faith, but rather understanding its evolution and questioning what we might have taken for granted.
Well, that certainly gives us a lot to think about. Thanks for this engaging discussion. It really illuminates how deep and, historically rich these issues are.
Thank you as well. Let's hope this sparks further thoughtful dialogue among believers and history enthusiasts alike.